Cool Cool Coolio.
Yeah, so to all those people who are complaining about Cosmic Fury, we're sorry, but it's Cool Cool Coolio. Which
Very cool, cool,
that's gonna be the thumbnail, isn't it,
It is.
Vex?
It is. I've had this video prepped since October. Um, and it's been just chaotic and on brand with us to be late on everything. We don't have a Zangetsu this video. He gave us the go ahead to film without him. Um,
Yeah. So since we're here and since Tyler didn't join us for Dino Fury, I think it's appropriate we should get his thoughts on Dino Fury for this.
Yeah, so because I actually ran through the entirety of Dino Fury before Cosmic Fury came out, and I gotta say, it was better than I expected it to be. I not gonna lie, I was going in with pretty low expectations. There were times where I wanted to say punch Ollie in the face, but
that's fair.
I thought it was a really good series. I was really digging a lot of the character stories. I was really digging the villain. I was really digging like the bond between uh Mucus. Yeah, Mucus and Slither. I was not expecting to dig the Rangers as much. And just to rattle off, going off of Dino Fury alone, my rankings for all the Rangers from bottom to top: Ollie, Ion, Amelia, Javi, Zayto, Izzy.
That's pretty sane rankings. Izzy is best.
Yeah, and still is in Cosmic Fury. There's no change there.
No, not really.
Yeah.
I will say there is one cool change for me, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. But yeah, so the shortest season aside from Alien Rangers with only 10 episodes, which I don't know about you, but I'm kind of split on that. On one hand, I do like it that it's a shorter series, so that it's a more tight-knit story. I just wish that it could have been like maybe a bit longer, like with like maybe 15 episodes as opposed to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tyler.
I was about to say, because like we get a pretty significant shake-up in the lineup. Like we get Amelia becoming the Red Ranger and Zayto kind of side shooting off to become the Zenith Ranger. Uh, and like I feel like Amelia doesn't get the same shine as being the Red Ranger as say Zayto did being the Red Ranger, or even Zayto being the Zenith Ranger.
Yeah, it did kind of
What?
feel a bit odd there.
Especially because we also introduced Fern as the Orange Ranger. And I felt like her transition into Rangerhood could have been a little smoother.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, but I do get why they went that route with her. It's because of the fact that Izzy, they needed something more for Izzy to do in this season, and it's like being the overprotective girlfriend. I feel like that's probably the only thing they could have done. I mean, I can't think of any other thing they could have done with her.
There's I'm just gonna say it. There was a lot of rushing, but I do kind of see where Simon Benham was getting with everything he was saying on social media at this point, right? Like, no matter what you do in this fandom in particular, whether you make the perfect season or the worst season whatsoever, you're held to the same, no matter what, everything sucks standards on social media.
Yeah, Especially when people bash at him and say like, "Oh, you have to be a fan to work on this show."
I don't particularly like what I do for a living, but it's still a fucking paycheck. Like there's definitely like a middle ground, right? Like knowing the source material and having respect for it does tend to make it better. Um, but I found realistically no flaws, like over painful flaws with this season, right? To where I'd be like,
Yeah,
it would have been a million times better if he was a fan of this thing, right?
yeah. Cause uh, I don't know whether it was like I've heard reports saying that it was like Hasbro, like like Netflix were willing to do like 20 episodes and Hasbro cut it down to 10.
Yeah.
So I mean, what else could he have done? Could he have done with that time frame?
Yeah.
Because he had to introduce Fern as the Orange Ranger. He had to introduce Zayto as the Zenith Ranger and transition him into a Morphin Master and bring in Master Zed and introduce a whole new set of villains as well.
Yeah, the biggest flaw for me was how compact and rushed a lot of these things felt. We had one ranger who's never used his Zord in the entire season.
Yeah,
We had a ranger get introduced, go through their first day on the job, and basically master their powers in the span of 20 minutes. And we have a villain plot get wrapped up in the span of 8 minutes of the final episode. There's realistically, those are my three big flaws, but that
yeah,
none of that would have been changed regardless of if Simon was a fan of the series or not.
yeah. Absolutely. And it's like, and I've always said this. Like in my opinion, the worst people to work on a series like Power Rangers are the massive fanboys.
If a fanboy, like a Twitter fanboy, we'll go with that, right? Went and
Yeah,
made a season of Power Rangers, it would be a shot for shot remake of Mighty Morphin.
yeah. They'd be like, we need to have this character, this character, this character, this character. But the actor is dead, and the actor doesn't want to come back. I don't care. We need to have them in here.
Right. We would end up with the reversion of Mighty Morphin at that point. We'd have some more lens flare, some pop effects, 2008 some Windows Movie Maker style editing, and then we would end up with like the exact same fucking plot. And there's a reason that actual writers, are paid to make this product and not you sitting at home tweeting.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I've, even though I'm a fan of Power Rangers, I would not want to work on Power Rangers.
How big a
Or,
bag is Hasbro handing me? Like,
uh, no, no. When I say that, like, I'd want to work on Power Rangers, but not be like the head honcho type person.
see, I'm the type of person that would just troll back on Twitter, so I don't give a
Yeah.
shit. How big a bag would Hasbro hand me? Like, in this theoretical scenario, how, like, we know their pockets are deep. Come on. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I think we should start talking about the episodes in general. So we have episode 1, Lightning Strike. So we're on Sordania, where the Shogun swords were originally found. I love how we're just like, it's like we don't have time. We don't have time to think about this. We know Lord Zed's out there. We're going to find him right now, and immediately jumping into the next part of the story.
Yep.
And of course, we have the new villains, Squid Ink Incorporate. I just love that name.
Listen,
It's like
if ever
it's
there
like
was a punchable face, it was all of these villains.
but it's like Detective Comics. Yeah, so we have the daughter of the head honcho, who's a Millennium Monster, who has her own monster YouTube channel, and it had apparently 218. It's old enough for a monster to go out on their own.
Uh, you
And
know,
of
at
course,
the
and
rate
of
of the
course,
world, that's pretty funny because it would take about till you're 218 to have enough money to buy your own house nowadays.
yes, it would. It really would. And yeah, so anybody who's still live with their parents, don't worry. You are the safe ones at this point. Uh, and also, Sordon, fangirl, alien, social media influencer. But I think the line that really stood out to me most in this first episode is the lovely pink energy, because we all know that we can't use too much pink energy because that is dangerous.
My favorite line in this entire episode was, "But my rents do."
Yes, I have that as one of my notes. My rent too. It's like who pays the rent? Who do you pay the rent for the monsters? Is it like, well, it can't be Master File because he was purified by the sea wave. So who would it be?
Um, I'm on the bet. I'm on the bet. Squid Ink Inc. has a few company towns in the galaxy.
Yeah, honestly, if ever there was a company town style villain, it'd be them. Um, my other line I have in here in my notes that I hadn't opened since October 16th, by the way, is "You did good, but you're fired" from Lord Zed.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, he's really channeling his inner Vince McMahon right now. A really likable douchebag energy, which, you know, Zed's always had. I was kind of afraid. Like, this is our third fucking person playing Zed at this point because the internet didn't like the last one. The internet didn't like this one either. And your original one's fucking dead.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like,
do you
yeah.
want them to resurrect him with AI? Is that what you want?
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm making fun of the internet at this point, Luke. I don't want
Yeah,
that,
you
but
are.
like,
But seriously, the internet didn't like this person playing Lord Zed. I'm gonna channel my inner Mr. Garrison here from Mr. Hanky the Christmas Pooh. Hey, you're the ones who made it this way.
mm-hmm. Honestly, um, this is, I think this is the most progressive season that we've had, in all of Power Rangers. Like, we've always been woke. Sorry to burst that bubble. If you're tuning in
Yes.
for the first time to this by the
Just
eras.
gonna rip that band-aid off.
Yeah, Power Rangers has always been woke. I'll always go back to it. Season 1, Episode 5. The hard of hearing person was the MVP.
We had probably the best depiction of a disabled character with Javi here. Like,
Yeah.
having to go through losing his arm from episode 1 this season, and then everybody tried to rally behind him and, you know, help him find a new arm, you know, getting it built by Cranston here. I gotta wonder though, would Billy market this prosthetic arm, or, you know, as like, say, PlayStation Spider-Man style, like Doc Ock, or would it just be like a one and done here? Like,
He probably market it because when we get to Ninja, it would actually make sense when we get to Ninja Steel, considering the setting of Ninja Steel. So he probably would be marketed it to that city where Ninja Steel is set in.
yeah, because, like, think about it. He did all the R&D in the actual battlefield here. You know, because we saw it not work right for the first few episodes as well. And then Javi slowly gained the ability to control it. So now Billy would know how to program it and set everything up for the next person that would potentially need this.
And I've just got, and also as well, since we have Ollie turning evil blue in this season, we have to have someone to fill the void, and we've got Billy here.
Yep.
Yep.
Which I am just gonna say it right now. I don't care what anyone says. Billy is a part of the Cosmic Fury. He is a Cosmic Fury
Nope,
team
he
member.
uses Mighty Morphin as his roll call.
No, he pilots the Cosmic Fury. He pilots the Cosmic Fury
So does
sword.
fucking Mechanic, okay? We've already had this discussion off camera.
Please just let me have this win. Just let me have. Well, in that case, do we count Sordon as part of the Mighty Morphin team?
But he didn't pilot a Zord. He didn't do any of the things that a normal Ranger would do, technically. He was just a
You realize
two.
anybody can pilot a Zord, right?
Yeah.
It seems like a complicated thing, but anybody can go inside the cockpit of a giant mech.
Can a disembodied head do it, Tyler? Can a giant disembodied head do it?
Probably. He probably got some weird voodoo shit to make that work.
Oh, Billy,
Looks
if
to
you're
the
just
goddamn Boom comics where he gets a fucking body.
Oh, Billy, if you just used the Cosmic Fury Blue Orb, then we wouldn't be in this mess of debating your position on this team.
He's an auxiliary member, and
Yeah,
so is Mechanic.
Yeah.
End of debate. Bite my shiny metal ass.
It doesn't look so shiny to me.
Shinier than yours, meatbag.
Hey, I'm fine with auxiliary ranger, like say like the Phantom Ranger or whatever you want to call it here for this. The same with fucking Heckle, okay? We got a lot of auxiliary rangers, and then we have like our regular team.
Okay. But still, Billy was more part of this team than Ollie this season.
You're very right. You're very right. But Ollie was a plot
Very
device.
right.
Now, to be fair with Ollie, it was only because his actor wasn't sure if he was going to be able to be part of the season or not. That is
all of that footage in one day.
Yeah.
Because he was like realistically in very little footage for this. When you think about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, for the most part, he's just standing there with Lord Zed.
Which, you know, he could have just been green screened in with various different poses. We don't know what happened in the editing bay. So for episode 2, right? I never in my life want to see another Cyborg franchise. Jane Borg has killed that.
We're gonna see more cyborgs. Just getting that band-aid off for you.
I want to buy the device that they use for Jane Borg for the robotic movements and then blow it up for a video.
Well, considering where Jay Borg was originally came from, we have someone that we can blame when we get to their season. But yeah. So for my notes, apparently someone has 8% marshmallow in their hot cocoa. God. We have Billy reassuring Harvey about his arm because, yeah, for someone to go through that, that's kind of like a big shock and change. And Billy being like, "Hey, it's all right, and it's gonna get better for you." And also Billy proving that he's still Tony Stark of Power Rangers.
Yeah,
I'm just calling him that now. Like, Billy, you're Tony Stark.
Well, I mean, he realistically is. Like, if ever there was a character,
Except he's not as much of an asshole.
Well, yeah, I can't argue with that one, even as a Marvel fan. Like, Tony's always a dick. It just, what level of a dick is he?
Yeah. And I love the line in this episode. Yeah, cute as a baby, not so much as a teen. every parent ever.
I'm sorry, your infant looks like a goddamn congealed blob. Like, until they are like 3 years old, they look like a pile of flesh. Your baby is not cute.
Your baby's not cute. It looks like it looks like you made him out of clay.
I would say the same thing if I was having my own child.
But yeah, the
This
biggest
is where we
question.
got the this is
Oh,
where we
go
got the
ahead.
mooks as well. Like for the first time, the Sentinels.
Yeah.
Did you guys
Which
see the behind the scenes stuff with the Sentinels?
no, I didn't.
Okay, I gotta fucking dig it up. This is hilarious. You guys talk while I dig this back up.
Okay, so the biggest question that I really, really want to know, taken away from this episode, is what is the rest? What are the ingredients for Florigan cake, the cake that Ion makes, which is a Rathconian cuisine? Like, what are the ingredients? And how can they be found on Earth?
It sounds like a Simon Bennett question.
Yeah,
Well, he's
yeah.
off Twitter now, so.
Oh yeah, he's off. But yeah, it's like because it's like he makes the cuisine on Earth, and it's just like okay, you made this cuisine from your alien planet with Earth ingredients. What are the ingredients? And do we have to eat it the exact same way you eat it with no hands?
I mean, I imagine like if there are any ingredients that were like native to Rathcon, like I imagine like either A, Ion would have to make like a facsimile using stuff on Earth, or B, like Solon has been shown to like make like Rathconian foods, like she made Rathconian dog food, which just makes me wonder how do dogs look on Rathcon, but
Now
I
I've
would
just
imagine Solon maybe has some like left like some ingredients that are like native to Rathcon that she like after doing like a shit ton of DNA splicing maybe.
yeah maybe, but
My
now
guess.
yeah, but now I've just got the mental image of like dogs on Rathcon being like the dog in Mars Attack. Do you remember that film Mars Attack?
Then
Nope.
Okay, there was a
Technically.
scene where a human head was on a dog. I just imagine that's what dogs on Rathcon look like.
Oh Jesus H.
But yeah, in this episode we also got a Nasada reference. Probably the first reference for Nasada since Wild Force, because we're gonna get Nasada reference in Wild Force, and I just put down as one of my notes. It's a whole saga of the evil boyfriend and evil parents. Like, I mean, it was gonna have to have so much counseling after this season, because like every person that she's very close to ends up being evil for about 5 hours.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then and very interesting where it's like, okay, what we're in a tight spot here. We have to activate the potential self-destruct button, but it's not the self-destruct button. It's the one and done teleport button to a random planet. So we end up on Tatooine. I mean Eridus.
Which is god damn it, I was scrolling through this pile of shit in our Discord server. 35 million light years away, which Tyler, I think you did the math when we were
Oh my
watching
god,
this.
Attempted to do the math.
for the
Yeah,
last
it's 30 million. Okay, it was because they were like on their way back to Earth, or like they were on. I think they were like on their way back to Earth from Eridus, and like they said they would like be back on Earth in a few hours, and I was trying to figure out how fast they'd have to be moving, because I'm a fan of Death Battle, and it's just something that it's something I've been conditioned to do.
Yes, I knew you were going to bring up Death Battle, because of the fact of the fact like we got to measure the maths here, and for the last time, nobody said nothing maths. But yeah, those were my only notes for episode 2.
I got
And it's
episode 3's notes.
I've just got to say really quickly now, it's amazing how quickly this season we were able to get through this season, because it's like it just flew by really quickly.
Yeah, like I wasn't there for when you watched it with Vex, Luke, but like I just like sat my I had the day off of work. I just sat my fat ass down, uh, and just binged the entire series with Luke on call.
Yeah, it's a quick watch. That's the thing. Like, I'm not against like these shorter seasons. I just wish if we're going to do for season, it was prep between like 1 and 2, or a core 1 and core 2, like an anime kind of thing, right? Instead of like rushing things. The thing. I cannot for the life of me fucking find behind the scenes right now.
Okay.
But there was a scene like where all the sentinels, I think Pookie put it up, that might be why I'm not able to find it. Um so like it might have just been a Simon Bennett tweet, Pukina. But there was a scene where like they were all just sitting around the fucking table playing poker. There was like them goofing around with like all the weapons, doing like silly little dances and shit. It was fucking hilarious. Like the amount of behind the scenes shit for these mooks in particular was just like so heartwarming, because realistically these are like some of the most terrifying mooks we have in Power Rangers. um I'd honestly say they rival Piranatrons and how dangerous they are.
The only thing that they're missing is a song that bashes them for no real reason.
I brought that up because I just passed the Piranatrons
Yeah,
stuff in our
I'm still
server.
I'm still waiting to hear back from Ron Westerman about that tweet about like what was his hatred for the Piranatrons.
I'm going to assume that was the Saban thing.
Well, even then, I
Yeah.
would like to ask Saban, like, what was the hatred for the Piranatrons?
Funny.
Yeah,
They
probably.
weren't
Muncie.
they weren't
Uh,
exactly the easiest characters to make figures of, I would assume, back then. So they were probably salty that they couldn't make a Mook army. Like they could the putties or the cogs. Um So I could imagine like making a toy of a Piranatron with all the little like armor pieces that go on there was probably harder back then than it would be now. Or we could 3D print shit. Um that's just my logic. As somebody that's worked with like injection molding. Um but let's dismiss my alarm before we get copyright struck. So we in episode 3 we got the Izzy and Fern love still going strong, obviously. I love that we still have some lesbian relationships going on in the series, just to watch the people mauled over on social media.
yeah.
Um
But Ion has to be a cock blocker about it.
oh yeah, absolutely. Like it wouldn't be Ion if it wasn't a giant cock block.
Um, and and also Amelia being the emotional rock that Ion needs because of the fact that Saito is not with them, and he's worried about his best friend being potentially being dead, and Amelia being like, "Look, I'm in the same position as you. My boyfriend's being taken over by evil forces."
Yeah. I love
I will say, like, just as like, a foreboding on how like the season of like an overall, I feel like Ion is a very strong point of this season, and I think it's honestly night and day compared to how he was in Dino Fury.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
in Dino Fury, it felt like he was just kind of a walking punchline of, "Oh, look at that! Ion's enjoying some Earth food. Look at him, ain't he goofy goober?" But now,
Goop
like Ion actually
Goober.
like Ion is actually having an arc and like having more of a substantial character,
Yep.
and with his concerns with Zayto, like
Absolutely.
he feels more 3-dimensional here than he did in Dino Fury. And I'll say this right now, I think Ion is definitely the most improved character. May not be the best, but he is the most improved.
Yeah, 100%. I really do feel like Ion really came into his own this season. He's still like the chef. We're not going to get rid of Ion the chef. The entire plot of episode 3 was to make some food, right?
Yeah, because the inhabitants of Eridus are basically the giant worms from Tremors. So you got to get Kevin Bacon in there, as long as he's not being harassed by Mantis and the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry, I had to make that reference.
Insert cheesy 80s song.
Well, it makes sense considering Ion basically has antenna like Mantis.
Yeah. I would play Hooked on a Feeling, but I'm pretty sure Warner would come and flash bomb me if I tried it, so we're not going to.
But yeah, this is the episode where we get the Billy actually creating the powers for the Cosmic Fury powers.
And again with the goddamn dinosaurs.
Well, he does say he kept it with the Dio theme because it felt appropriate for them because they were like just so used to being the Dino Fury Rangers.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Dinos are old. Give me AI based powers.
No, don't give us AI based powers.
Listen,
but
in a world where like everything is like possible, right? Like Power Rangers. I would not be shocked if in like 10 years they make a joke season of Sentai where it's like NFTs were the powers or some shit. Just to shit on them. Because look at all the dumb shit Sentai's done, right?
They've done Boxing Nun.
Right.
It's like I'll never forget that Boxing Nun.
Like this, like Sentai in general is so over the top and wacky. I'm sorry. I still want Tokuger. I still want my train season. God damn it! And I love that there's a fucking YouTuber out there doing that. But
well, to be fair, considering on one of the Megazords in Tokuger where the train actually is, it's kind of the same thing with Sork in Yu-Gi-Oh.
well, hey. That's just a well-endowed sword.
Well, we get a train dick.
Yes, we get a.
Nice.
I'll find it. Tyler, so that you can see.
I'll be right back, guys. Carry on without me for a few.
Okay.
But yeah, so going back to Billy creating the powers, I do love the morphing sequence. And then they just like
swipe down
the alley. I love that. That's probably in my top 5 of morphing sequences in my own personal opinion. But yeah, Billy creating the powers, and I had it here. This just hammers in my theory that Billy did develop the turbo swords after realizing the CO powers were getting too powerful. Like, I feel like this is 100% confirmed now that Billy was the one who designed the turbo swords and the turbo powers.
Fair enough. I also like now that everybody has like their own weapon. Like, we got Amelia with a hammer. We got Javi with an axe that's also a guitar.
I love that. Go ahead.
Okay. I was about to say, we got Ion with, like, a blade that also turns into, like, a Mega Man-style arm cannon.
Well, with that, I had that as one of my notes for the fourth episode. Ion has Guts' gun from Berserk.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just gonna quickly find the image of the Tokuja sword. But the other note I had for this was in relation to Lord Zed when they're having the dance party on it on his ship, and the daughter of Squid Ink Incorporated boss is just like, look at me, and he's just there like, I am so confused right now. And I'm just like, Zed, are you being Simon Cowell in this? Do you need a big giant red button to go, eh?
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Yes. Yes, he is. And also, Earth sucks but causes so much trouble. It's like, when it causes so much trouble and it sucks, why don't you just leave? Go somewhere else, Zed. Oh my god. Like, Zed has to have, like, I don't know who, like, would you say in terms of characters who have the biggest ego in the entire franchise, would you say Zed is up there?
Uh, I would. Yeah, I'd also consider Diva Talks. Uh, like what are we quantifying as an ego? Do they like have to have like a high sense of vanity? Because
Yeah, because
if,
Zed
if
does have a high sense of vanity. He literally has to have a C on everything.
yeah, but I don't know. Maybe he's like part of his branding. Maybe he'll like branch out into making T-shirts. He'll have the most. He'll have the most. I'll have the most fiendish shirts on the market.
Yeah, I found it, Tyler. I'm gonna post it in Mod VC so that you can look at that.
All right, but
There we go.
finally the train penis.
Train penis. By the way, what's that thing on your crotch? You know that train thing, train carriage thing. Oh, that's my Willie. Jesus, I put some fucking pants on.
We're still talking about Tokucher.
Yeah. No, we got on to I talked about like Billy creating the powers, which adds to my theory that he developed the turbo swords and the turbo powers. Um
And I
and
was talking about how each of the Rangers have a unique weapon now, as opposed to all just having the same sword.
Yeah, it's nice that we got back to individual weapons here. And it's a shame that we only got to use the ultimate weapon, like the blaster homage, once in the entire series.
yeah. And also I talked about Zed being Simon Cowell when they're having that dance number, and he's just sitting in his chair being like, I'm so confused right now.
No, same Zed. Like that was me with a lot of the Gen Z humor. One is like, I'm officially Lord Zed. I am the boomer. Um uh
And and like, if Zed finds Earth to be so sucky but causes so much trouble, just bail out of there.
or just put us out of our misery and glass it like it reach, you know. It would solve a lot of the problems.
If only he'd still have access. If only he still had access to Serpentera, which, to be fair, they do try and get a Serpentera like character type sword in this season.
Yeah, that's what's so fucking funny is like a lot of this was playing homage to like all the different seasons, right? And it started with like Once and Always, where we got all the like little name drops for different locations going through the Project Pandora computer files, right? We saw like nods to everything from like
From
Ninja
like
Storm to Lost Galaxy and all that shit, right?
yeah, to, and also to Wild Force, which was going to be starting out soon. We're going to be starting our Wild Force watch soon.
Yeah, like that one's going to be interesting. Like really it is. I'm super looking forward to going through that season.
Oh, I am as well because it's one of that along with Time Force was one of the first that I really started getting into the franchise. But yeah, so those were really all my notes for episode 3 that I had. And episode 4, I already touched on one note in the previous segment where I don't know about you, Fex, but I think this is probably one of my top 5 favorite morphing sequences.
It's pretty high up there, honestly. Oh
And of
shit.
and of course, everyone now I cannot see it now. Every time they go, it's morphing time, and flick the orb up in the air. They do like the little hip thrust.
Yeah, no, now that it's been pointed out, it's interesting to look back on, and she's just like swaying her hips. Um, which I didn't think of like at all until it got pointed out. I'm like, God damn it! Now I can't not think about it because it's like right out there. It's one of those things. Like, there's a lot of details in shows that you don't notice till it's pointed out to you, right? I feel
Yeah,
like a lot of social media in general, like as much as I shit on it, it's really good for pointing out little details. Um, for stuff like that. Like somebody will notice something different watching a movie than you do, and you're like, oh wow, let's play that back. You know, if you're watching it together. I went back and watched the scene to make sure, like in an era where like everything could be faked, right? Like
yeah,
deep fakes being like a really big thing. I'm like that could just be an edited shot because I saw it on Twitter originally. Um, so I went back and watched like that first Morphin. It's very much in there. So the sass of a Red Ranger is something that's not new, but like Amelia put her own spin on it.
yeah, and and I do love that they just flick the orb up. They're just there, like, let's land it in the morpher.
It's so dumb. It's
Yeah,
so dumb.
and
It's dumb, but I love
it's
it.
so dumb. It's amazing. I
Like,
also remember there was like one shot of like the of when they closed the morpher. Uh, Ion actually misses the hatch.
I am gonna have to go back and
So,
look at that.
yeah, he like he does the motion, but he misses the hatch.
that's fucking funny.
And one of my other notes that I had is like we have boomerang knives because why not?
Like,
I mean, we
all the
have
dumb stuff.
boomerangs. Go ahead.
Like, of all the things like to have, it's just so funny, right? Like, oh, the funny thing is, right? We also have a boomerang morpher this season.
Yeah, yes, we do. But that's not even getting into the craziness that we have in some seasons. Case in point, the hamburger morpher.
I don't know this reference, and I'm fearing for my life.
Okay. The reference that I'm making is Ninja Steel, the Gold Ranger in the Sentai. His morpher is a hamburger.
Sorry, what?
I am not even. I will find the pic and post it in VC. But no, they changed his morpher in Ninja Steel to one of the regular morphers, and his phone is the hamburger morpher.
God damn it, Sentai. Anyway, moving on from that mindfuck.
There you go, Fex. In mod VC.
Damn it. God damn it.
What?
Talking about the hamburger morpher.
I fucking hate it.
I love it.
there's literally facts. There's literally an entire video series debating whether or not the hamburger morpher was, whether it was wise to to keep the hamburger morpher out of Ninja Steel.
I hate it so much.
Oh, come on, it's awesome.
Yeah.
What you like the Vipari, but not this?
Yes.
Yes, I do. This to me is what the Vipari is to Luke. Okay. I'm a red-blooded American. Okay, making fun of my fat ass is not funny. I say looking like a fucking twink.
But yeah, so speaking of Ninja Steel, we have Mick again in this episode. Going, Mick retracts your flaps, and he does it literally, like. It's like, okay, we didn't mean it literally.
I love and hate Mick at the same time.
Mick, I love. I mean, I cannot wait until we get to Ninja Steel and we just see him all in action in all his glory. And hey, the actor, like I said before, we better get used to him because his actor starring in Dino Thunder is going to be in every single Power Rangers season from Dino Thunder all the way to Cosmic Fury.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, I shit on Tommy a lot because like they've turned Power Rangers into Tommy Oliver. But realistically, like there are people in the series that are in more than Tommy's actor ever was.
Yeah. It got to the point where Linkara, when he did his Ninja Steel retrospective, the preview to it was, he said, next time we'll get into some Power Ranger staples: space, ninjas, and Kelson Henderson. But his first like major prominent role is in SPD, where he plays one of the major side characters.
Like bless Linkara for doing this shit. Like we kind of, in our own spin, are doing the Linkara fucking videos now.
Yeah, we kind of, except we're not showing the clips.
Yeah, no, fuck
we get copyright out the ass.
But like, I fight YouTube enough on Twitter. I don't want to fight YouTube and Toei and fucking Hasbro all at the same time.
Well, we're technically fighting them because apparently we can't say the C word on in any capacity for some reason.
We apparently can't say Zordon either.
That's what I meant, the C word. That's what I was referring to.
It sounded like you said the C word. Like, I'm pretty sure I've said cunt a few times this episode, but in case I didn't,
it was the said word. There we go. Said, C, whatever, tomato.
Now it would be confusing saying the said word in this season in particular.
Yes. So anyway, they're in a forest, which is basically the Banyan Grove tree from Avatar because it's alive.
See, except for better, because it's not fucking Dances with Wolves. I mean, sorry.
No, I wasn't talking about, the Banyan Grove tree from Avatar, The Last Airbender. The big giant tree that's like connects to everything in the world.
I fucking... What didn't the blue Avatar steal? Because now you've reminded me that was a thing in The Last Airbender. So, like, James Cameron, you've got some questions. Feel free to join us on the podcast.
Well, he stole blue people, which was already done in Watchmen.
The living tree, the plot to Dances with Wolves, See, you're good for Terminator and Raising the Bar in South Park and fucking nothing else.
Well, Aliens.
Am I the only one that prefers the non-Cameron aliens? The Cameron aliens?
Well, there's only really one non-Cameron alien, which is Aliens.
Somebody got the joke. No, but like I tend to forget he had anything to do with Aliens until it was pointed out to me. Like, oh right, I do like that franchise, but I don't ever associate that with him. I associate that with Sigourney Weaver.
Okay, fair. Which is associated with James Cameron.
Touche. And
Uh,
being a psycho stalker and sending dead animals to James Woods. Um,
I thought that was Jim Carrey.
um, we don't want.
Oh no, I thought that was Jared Leto.
No. He did that too. God damn it. Hello, Opera. You did an update in the background.
But yeah, so my other notes that I had on this episode was and I'm sorry to do this against Twitter. Well, what am I talking about? I'm not sorry. I can do this if I want. Saito being more progressive than Twitter, despite being a 65 million year old alien, where he's just like, hey, if the morphing grid chose you, it must be for a good reason. Because there was all that whole thing with Amelia, like, this is Sato's color, what's he gonna think of it? And Sato was just like, you know what? You're the Red Ranger now. It's cool. It's cool, cool, coolio.
And
Oh,
he's
yeah.
still a ranger, arguably like
Well,
Like-
hey, he got struck down by a powerful force, so now he's more powerful than you could possibly imagine.
yeah, he's arguably better off like not being the Red Ranger than he is if he was still the Red Ranger.
That is true. That is true. But as we soon learn, he's on a time limit at this point because he basically turns into the Green Ranger counterpart from Shoe Ranger. Yeah. And also in this episode we have we finally, and this is something that I do agree with you on the rushness effects. We finally get to see a proper look at Altar, and we don't get to see any of the inhabitants of Altar.
Yeah, no, not only do we not get to see any of the inhabitants of Altar, which have already been fleshed out in fucking the Boom comics, right? And I get that they try to separate the canons of those. I just bring them up because it seems like lately the Boom comics do a lot of things that I wish the show would do. And that's why I'm glad we have both of these source materials, right? But like this is a living, breathing planet filled with living, breathing citizens and humans. Well, not humans, but aliens, you know. And we constantly talk about like throughout the canon of Power Rangers, the 30-year history, like what we do after this, the reboot, is anybody's guess, because we don't really have a lot of info on that. But like we know that Eltar is a functional living society because Zordon's talked about. We've heard it from other masters. We've heard it from all of the references, and we finally get to this planet, and it looks like a goddamn company town. Like,
yeah, and you'd think it would be made like a big deal about it because this is Zordon's home world. This has been like a world that's been referenced since the beginning.
right.
And you think you would see more of it.
Like all the way, like especially up to like in space where like Eltar was in danger, right? And we're having, Zordon captured and we're dealing with all of this shit in the background. Like the reason we got what was it, Demetria as the mentor for the second I didn't want to mispronounce her name. We had her for the second half of Turbo as the mentor. It was Zordon was going to try and help protect his homeworld, right? So is this saying that Zordon technically failed? Even though like the Z wave happened, did he technically fail?
I guess so.
Because it looks like an occupied, like a enemy occupied city here, and well, technically, Zed is doing his own thing here at this point. Hello, Destiny 2 ad from the Epic Game Store. I am okay. I don't need to sink more money into that game. But like we're having like nobody will see that because this will be a visualizer. It's just annoying that pops up while we're filming this. But we're seeing like Zed like kind of revel in his victory over his, nemesis here as he's coming in and essentially taking over his home planet. And it's like this, it's something that should feel bigger than it did here. But because they went
Yeah,
by so quickly, it just like felt like nothing.
yeah. I feel like if we did have like 15 episodes, we could have had a whole episode of seeing like the. I mean, what are like the inhabitants of Altar called? Altarians?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. The Altar. We could have had like the Altarians. Altarians trying to defend from Zed and failing miserably.
Know that because there is an arc in the Power Rangers comics, Aryan War. Again, I know different canon, but I would assume they would use the same terminology for the inhabitants. This was
Yeah, it's not like they'd suddenly start calling them Eltish.
right.
That would sound stupid.
Yeah, but this is basically like if just to use something that I'm a fan of, this would be basically like if we spent like the entirety of the revival of Doctor Who constantly referencing Gallifrey and we never actually saw it in great detail.
It's such a weird thing. But I don't know. Like that's just a nitpick here at this point.
Yeah, it's a nitpick, but it is a pretty big issue with this season being as short as it is because it seems like they want to do so much, but they just don't have the time to do it.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
that's fine. Like it's a Hasbro decision. I don't agree with it. Um but I don't agree with a lot of shit that Hasbro does. But it's whatever, I like
yeah.
we have 5 of the helmets technically for the Lightning collection, right? And we never got green and we never got a yellow out of that. And now we have those on hiatus. So they didn't even finish their cash cow series. in the
That's
fucking
weird. That is so weird.
But we had, like a Green Ranger Morpher, we had a Master Morpher, you know, we milked Tommy, but we also didn't milk Tommy, which is such a weird thing to me.
Yeah. Um, But yeah, my really other major note for episode 4 was adding to Zed's ego about wanting C ice cubes instead of N, even though they make the argument like, well, if you turn it this way, it kind of looks like no, they have to be C.
I gotta say there's two things here for me for this episode. We have Ollie learning how to be evil and being kind of like a badass, right? With this, because he kind of got like some Dark Ranger esque style powers here.
Yes.
Which was a cool choice to give him since he wasn't potentially going to be in the season for very much. Um, so like we have that, 'cause he's clearly not built to be evil, even though he was the plot device for this season. And he's jealous throughout the entire part because like he got, like basically a power boost, but everybody else got like completely new powers. Um, so we have that going on, and then we have him using a blaster instead of like a regular, weapon. In this episode. But there was one line that was just so ominous in this episode. Enjoy the time you have left.
Yeah, which is alluded to Sato.
Mm-hmm. So the way that was delivered, to the Zenith Ranger, was so interesting. Because we kind of knew that Zayto died in the last the last season, right? And we knew he
Yeah.
died. And then he got brought back for a glorious purpose. So like we're having him be like the cusp of saving everyone here and protecting the Morphin grid and all this shit throughout the season and trying to balance the powers of good and evil again. Which we'll definitely get to at the end of this because there's like the big reveal at the end of this.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and there and it's kind of a thing that is I feel like splits the fandom a lot.
You could sneeze in the wrong direction and would split this fandom. I don't know which is worse, this fandom, My Hero Academia, or Star Wars.
Star Wars by a landslide.
I don't know.
Yeah, because like every time they try to do something different in Star Wars, people don't like it, and they're just like, "We want it to be back about this and this and this and this."
How is that any different than them trying to bring back Tommy in every season and everybody jizzing their pants when that happens? But anytime you see something remotely different, they shit themselves. Like, I remember back in the day when Power Rangers was good. And they're only referring to Mighty Morphin, just like the Star Wars fandom only refers to the fucking original trilogy as being good.
Yeah. I'd say all three have equal bad eggs.
But like it's interesting. Because we have such a unique ending to this season that we gotta get to. But
Yeah.
But before that, we gotta go to episode 5. Which basically is Occupied Earth.
Yep, and we have a rock off.
I was a fan of this episode.
I wasn't. I was as well. Just for the fact, like they were trying to troll Zed, but they couldn't troll Zed because they had to keep up the illusion.
How do we feel about Meat Chrome?
I love that name.
Like, I feel like this is like a hardcore band that you would find in somebody's garage, and then they would break up after 3 shows.
Yeah, but it reminds me of it reminds me so much of the rock band Moop. Because you can just hear somebody going, "Who the hell is Meat Crow?"
Listen,
I mean, hey, if Hoobastank is a band name, then
listen, they were good for the reason, and that was it. Fucking fight me in the comments. Like I love dumb band names. It's like one of my favorite things. Like it is so fucking cringe and hilarious while bands are going through like that initial cringe phase of trying to figure out a name that will stick. So like I can resonate with that as a musician. But I find one thing here immensely funnier than anything else, and that was Ollie shitting on CEOs.
I know, right? I had that line right there. Nice. That doesn't sound like CEO behavior.
mm-hmm.
Listen, you get a goddamn company pizza party, but you gotta still be back from your break at 15 minutes, or you're getting rode up. A little too on the nose? A little too much?
No, that is pretty much spot on, Vex. But the thing I took away from this episode is, like in Dino Fury, swords can produce offsprings because it seems like this dragon sword might be relation to the original dragon sword.
It's so cool. Like we kind of had a hint that they might be biomechanical, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's hinted at in Lost Galaxy because of the Galactabeast being alive, but very much put to the forefront when we get to Wild Force.
And like we know that they're like infinite in the timeline too because of fucking Time Force, right? Because the Q-Rex got sent back in time. So
the only thing that's missing from this season is a Megazord slapping itself.
Like,
I'm sorry, I had to bring that up.
Listen, Spanky the Zord is of definite me, okay? The only reason I didn't use that for a thumbnail is because I wanted to encapsulate like all of the fucking like post Zordon era, and I feel and if I put Spanky up there, I'm pretty sure it would just be instantly like struck down as like inappropriate for all audiences and give us a red mark.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
Somehow YouTube would find issue with that, but not literal propaganda on their front page.
I've just got to ask you, Vex, which do you find worse for a rock band name, Meat Chrome or the Jaw Snappers? Because apparently that was the band name that they were going to get before Meat Chrome showed up.
I prefer Meat Chrome, honestly. It fits with what they were doing here. Jaw Snappers, not so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my other note for this episode, aside from me going, heckle, Dino Charge reference, was thank God Amelia did not say it's hammer time. Because that would have been such an obvious pun to make.
I would have loved it. I would have loved it.
I feel like they were like, she's got a hammer. Everyone's probably expecting us to say it's hammer time, so we're not going to say it.
I would have loved it.
And also I had dig so I don't have to. Pretty much everyone in every company ever. It's like, do this so that I don't have to do it.
Like I'm so fucking flippy here in my notes. I'm looking at them. I went from like Fern is so out of place in the middle of this fight to I love Fern so much. She's a perfect addition. And like the fact that Heckle is the streamer's love interest, but like shortly after this, we get the reveal that he was the that makes more sense. I was not expecting Heckle to play such a huge role in this. Were you guys?
No, I wasn't as well. I mean, I was expecting to just be like, I was expecting to just be there because people were like, "Oh, we didn't get Heckle as a Dark Ranger in Dino Charge. Okay, here he is now."
Like I love Heckle. Like I haven't watched Dino Charge, so like this was my first impression of Heckle.
Heckle in Dino Charge, like where. Because like he says in this, he kind of spoils his role in Dino Charge of like he's evil, but then he turns out to be good. But when he's evil, Heckle, he is just like he just the actor. You can tell that he just has a blast playing this because it's just like the most hammiest of hammy things ever.
And I love roles like that, honestly. It's so fun. Like when you get to play a dickhead, right? Especially if you have the personality for being a dickhead, right? Because you have to have this sort of personality to play that kind of character. Whereas if you're actually a dickhead, it comes off as like, well, it's obvious this is just their personality. But if you're not and you're just having fun being the complete opposite, it kind of comes through in your performance, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I can vouch for that because from being recently in the Tempest, where I was basically just like two of the biggest dickheads ever. They were just so much fun to play.
Honestly, like, and I teeter the line between like dickhead and like putting up a performance like in videos at times. Like, there's obviously you can tell there's points where I'm just like, okay, playing up the jackassy for content's sake, like especially in the progression series where I'm fighting.
Oh no,
Ann
no! Ann Arbor's the one that does that.
Oh, it's me and Ann Arbor both, but like feeding into each other in particular. Um, but it's also like you get to when you get to play that role, like especially I don't know if you guys like ever this is off topic as all hell, but you know what Tom brand for us, like do you guys ever get into the role of playing the dickhead in a game, right? So for instance, like I play Fortnite off stream and off content, and so like my favorite thing is to be the jackass that will just wait with like the most overpowered weapon, and I just go around trolling people. So I'll find like the legendary sniper rifle. I'll go around being the tryhard and just fucking with people. Um, and I just turn on voice chat for that, and I'll just like get into character and like I'll give you like a better gun if you do like a dance for me or shit like that. You know, and it just turn people into my like puppets. That or in an RPG going around and like going on a crime spree and then reverting the save just to fucking let out like energy. So like the last time I played through Fallout 4, I just went around and killed every non-essential character in every town. Went full supervillain. Like those kinds of things are fun for a video or for a bit. So like you can get your personality out there and it'll just be like fun. And you can tell like you're saying like Heckle's actor was doing, just that. But I feel like he was like really coming into his own here because he's genuinely seems like a good guy, So
Yeah. It's it's kind of like he forgot he was a good guy originally before he was corrupted by evil.
right.
And now that he learned that from Dino Charge, he's like, I'm the good guy now.
Like it's really cool seeing him be able to like essentially play both ends of the spectrum in the span of a couple seasons. I'm sure I'll fucking have more thoughts on Heckle as a character when we watch Dino Charge. So
Yeah. It's kind of the same thing with Mick as well. Like when you see them like fully in their seasons, you probably love them more than you do now. Yeah.
Episode 6 though.
Yeah, the only notes I had for this were just about Fur being the Orange Ranger with Solon as a dino, which I've got to say is the most perfect thing ever.
I agree.
Solanosaurus power.
Yeah. It's just like Solon. You should have had this from the beginning. You are precious. You are the mummy dino that everyone needs.
Unfortunately, she gets her weapon's a back scratcher.
I don't know. The weapon reminds me of more like Hisagi from Bleach with the chain and the two scythes. That's kind of like what it reminds me of.
It reminds me of a back scratcher.
Oh no.
It really
Wait,
is.
Yeah, it's a back scratcher, but no, when it has like the chain and everything, which no, that comes in episode 7. But
like all I thought of while we were doing this, going through this episode, I'm sure you guys know this reference. BC. God damn it! I don't want to open the video because I'm afraid to. Oh well, whatever. I will just not play the video and put the clip in here. Okay,
well, the other note I had for this was Vernon. I had it in question mark. Vernon is the best Ranger couple? Question mark. Debatable, very debatable because we have Wes and Jen as well.
They were hardly a couple. They were a will they won't they.
Wes and Jen's relationship was built over the season. It is perfect.
I prefer Izzy and Fern.
Okay, fair enough.
Same.
But yeah, the other note I had for this was we have the return of Dragon Sword in fighting mode, but it's purple now. So we have the Dragon Sword with the stupid helmet again. And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, Tyler's gonna love that all the same as he loved it originally."
It's not Dragon Zord fighting mode. It's the Mega Dragon Zord.
Okay, the Mega Dragon Sword fight mode, but same
It's like
same thing.
when the Dragon Zord gets split down the middle and like plops on top. The Dragon Zord gets split down the middle and plops on top of the Megazord. That's the one I hate.
All right, all right, because I thought you hated the fact that it was just Dragon Sword with a helmet.
It just looks so goddamn stupid in that other mode. Like, I'm sorry. Like, not every combination needs to be a thing.
Yeah, I've seen what you've put. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
A butt scratcher! Butt scratcher! Get your butt scratcher here!
Butt scratcher!
Like, I'm sorry. That was the first thing that came to my goddamn mind when I saw that weapon. But, like, I love seeing her go full fighting here. Like, she clearly could handle her own before, right? But Fern getting to actually, go full out as a ranger was really refreshing. Because now she doesn't have to, like, be careful, so to speak. She gets to, do the same thing her girlfriend does and protect the city, the world, and all these things. And, now she can actually, be there for her girlfriend, and, not be worried about her. Like, you're off on another planet without me, and I can't help but worry about you. And, now she can be right there.
And I do love the fact that Fern as a character was built up throughout like it was very naturally progressing. Like she starts off as like a minor character throughout Dino 3, but slowly starts to get more screen time, and eventually, like, bam, she's a member of the team.
Right. I just wish it would have been, sorry, it's been a long week.
Going from like major supporting character to Ranger.
Yeah. But I love the fact that the first thing, as soon as she gets her powers, is like, I've got to think of some quips.
Yeah. Not only just, she basically kind of had like a rush day one in a new job, right? Like, shit's fucked, we're going to throw you right into the mix of things, and here you go, best of luck, right?
Yeah. It kind of reminds me so much of when Corone became the Pink Ranger. I was just waiting for a moment like that where Fern's just like, woohoo, swords coming out.
Yeah, like it really felt like an homage to that, and that's why I keep saying, like, this is just a nod to every season of Power Rangers. Like, there's a bit that references like all of the most popular seasons. And that's what I kind of love and hate at the same time, because I really do wish that Fern would have had like more time to shine as a ranger and get to learn and fail at her job, right? But there was no chance to fail in this season, because this was like cataclysm level events, right? So like she had to be the best of the best from the moment she got a morpher. And
well, to be fair, we had that 6-month time skip from like when Zayto sacrificed himself to the final scene in Dino Fury. So it's potential that she could have seen the tricks of the trade off screen.
Yeah, off screen. But I wish she would have been able to see him in person. Right?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
And that's like the biggest thing, because like Ranger's first fight should be, a lot of failure, in my opinion, right? Learning how to do things. We don't really get that anymore. Like, we don't, we see, like, even up to like Lightspeed Rescue, them not be great at their jobs the first time they're in there, and then learn as they go. Here, it just felt like she knew everything immediately. And it comes down to like how they portray the Morphin energy in the later season. as like an instant autopilot, right? Look, and I hate using Mighty Morphin because I shit on the people that do it constantly, but like look at like the first scene of Mighty Morphin where they morph, like how much they fail. Like Zeo, you can kind of ignore it because they've already, been there, and then all the way up to like Lost Galaxy, right? Like their first morph was kind of shitty.
Yeah.
They weren't good
Um,
at their job to begin with. And then they got better as they went on, and that it kind of improved them as a team. But I guess the way they're logicking it is this team has been together enough for the last 3 seasons, technically, so they already have the ability to know what each other are planning to do or whatever. But Fern's never been on the battlefield other than like during the last episode, right, where she was in the middle of the meat chrome shit. So you would think she wouldn't be as refined as the Rangers, all I'm saying. But yeah, she's also a sports genius and, all this shit. So, she probably just put that to the test, and I might just be overthinking it.
no, I think your points are very valid. Very valid. But again, it's just a case of we just don't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
So I do feel like a lack of refinedness could have been shown in how she fights, because if there's one thing I've learned from playing fighting games, you can tell someone's personality by how they fight. But because like this is kind of off. This is like pseudo off topic, but like I can loop this back around. Like sorry, I'm gonna be using Mighty Morphin as an example. Like you can tell Jason is an experienced martial artist by how he postures himself, by the confidence seen in his movements. We like you you could kind of get a feel for their personalities, like if you like muted the TV and just watch the Rangers fight. You can get a feel. Jason's the leader. He has the most confidence in his abilities. He has the most confidence in his moves. Zach's the goofy one. He's he's more dancing than fighting. Like he's being rather playful. And Billy's the shy one. He's not. He's kind of letting the momentum of his opponent's movements do the fighting for him. The same way, say, an experienced martial artist will fight differently from someone who just learned how to fight yesterday, or an experienced martial artist will have a lot more refinement and technique than, say, a street brawler, or how two refined martial artists who both practice like completely different things.
Exactly.
Or like two martial artists who like practice the same martial art, but but they can express it differently. The best example being Ryu and Ken. Ryu's a lot more calmer and focused on technique, while Ken is all about the flashy high flying kicks and fiery uppercuts.
And like, look to Tekken, for example. Like, you see Brian be completely different stylistically, all right. Like, you see, like, how that's something I've always found so interesting. Like, I should get back to doing it, now, but I used to practice Muay Thai. Um, but like, you can tell a lot about how somebody's is just by their stance, by their like how relaxed they are. You can tell, like, are they really guarded? Are they more of a defensive fighter? Are they more of a, like, Do they like to attack, like in the style of jujitsu, for example? Like, do they always like plan 5 moves ahead, and do they have a backup plan for something like that? I always I used to watch a lot of like UFC and Bellator as well. And I always found the psychology behind fighting so interesting. I like the psychology behind like pro wrestling more because like a lot of it's like production and mind games, even if it is predetermined. But like you get to see like people cut a promo. You get to see people go in and you know do their scripted fight and then move on to the next bit, right? But there's a fucking art behind stuff like that. I feel like that fits the Sentai aspect more than like traditional fighting, or like MMA, for example, because it's very
Yeah.
clearly an over the top actiony fighting show, but like the psychology and the style of the human behind the fight is a very real thing. You can tell in any aspect of life. Um, but you also like have to sit down and think about like the styles of like these characters, for example. These are like literally teenagers with attitude again. These weren't like you know lifetime refined like militaristic people like we are used to, and where we're currently in our binge of like we had just come off of, or actually we were just watching Lightspeed Rescue when this came out, and these are all like I don't know why the hell my camera just opened on my phone. We were just watching like a firefighter, a first responder, a pilot, a lifeguard. We were watching these people that have careers and shit do like all of these actions and fighting demons and shit. And then like now we've come off the heels, like as of recording this, we just filmed like Time Force recently. Um, so like a government agency, you know. So we were kind of accustomed to like these people have already been trained, but now we're kind of back to that grassroots of like these are just teenagers that have never really, to our knowledge, practiced martial arts too much, or done a lot of things in that activity pool, other than like obviously like Izzy and Fern practice sports. We see them running, we see them doing like oh going out and doing these like competitive, like I guess it would be track and field as we call it here. I don't know if they call it that in the UK. But
Yeah, I think they do.
like they are very athletic in that sense. Other than that, we have a musician. We have like somebody that is a paranormal investigator, slash journalist slash gig worker. Then we got like a couple aliens. Like there's no other way to put it. They're from another planet. Um, but like
I mean, I guess you could call them like, because like they do have actual combat experience. Like they were knights.
yeah, that's fair. And they kind of did the training for the Rangers, so like they were trained in like more of a medieval style of fighting. In Dino Fury they just had the sabers, so they're like duelists essentially in that regard, right? But
Yeah.
even a duelist needs to know how to kick or punch or do something like that if their sword is taken away, to defend themselves. Like, can we guard? Can we do any of that? So I'm guessing maybe off screen Izzy trained Fern to be able to defend herself if she wasn't there, um, to protect her. That would make sense. I've got to make sure my girlfriend is at least able to defend herself in case the an alien comes and tries to fucking suck her brain out or whatever the monster of the week would do, right? um let's be real, that's not the dumbest monster power in all the Power Rangers that I just came up with. we had people be literally baked into a pizza. I will never let Power Rangers live that down.
Yeah, I love that. I don't care what you say, Rex.
That is the dumbest fucking episode in Power Rangers. I'm
No,
sorry.
it isn't.
That is
It-
that is the worst. That is the worst plot. That is my 13th reason.
It's a beautiful,
Okay,
cheesy, deep dish Power Rangers pizza.
The stupidity is the appeal of it.
Episode 8 is, or no, episode 7 is where we're at. Sorry.
Yeah.
Episode 7, we have Heckle come back, and the reveal is, he's the Dark Ranger. And we finally have the moment where Zayto's like, okay, so guys, don't freak out, but I'm going to fucking die again. I've been hiding it from you. The more I use this power from the Morphin Masters, the more it drains my life force, kind of thing. Which is a unique set of circumstances when you think about it. He has god-level energy, right? But it's limited.
Yeah. Because it's too dangerous for one person to handle.
Right? I know there's something in here that you loved. And there's something in this episode that I loved. So I'll let you go first.
Yes, giant Solon.
That was pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie.
Giant Solon is something. Now I definitely want to see Solon versus Godzilla.
Solon would fucking ground Godzilla. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go
just
to your room, Atomic Breath.
Yeah. Yeah, get giant. Please, just let me have a giant Solon in London. Just get a giant Solon in London.
Like they have a giant Luffy in Japan. You just want a giant Solon statue.
Yes, I do.
I don't know how to react to that. Do you, Tyler? Because I kind of fuck with it, but at the same time, it's so goddamn stupid. But in the end, is it any dumber than having a giant Luffy in Japan?
No, it ain't. I mean, there are much worse things you could have as a giant statue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming from the Americans. There are much worse things you could have as a statue.
Yeah, and we have Pop back in this episode as well, which is great. It's always nice to see that guy again.
We also have the reference to Beast Morphers here in Battle Grid, bringing transporters in.
It's kind of interesting. For as short as this season is, they managed to get pretty much every single major character that was in Dino Fury is in Cosmic Fury.
We even had the Down syndrome character.
Izzy's cousin come back with the which I'm glad that they didn't make that the parents didn't make such a big deal out of Harvey losing his arm and having it replaced with a robotic one.
Yeah, it was just like, well, you got a story to tell us when you get home, son. Now go save the world,
Yeah. But the line I loved here in this episode most was, "I'm going to turn you into cosmic rainbow paste." Because it's like they were literally trying to figure out a pun, and it's like they couldn't figure out something, so they were just like, "Oh, that's the best I could do."
The writer's room got really, really tired that day. It was probably a crunch day. Can we just talk about how badass Tarek was in this episode?
Yes! Tarek fighting without the 49 armor.
I loved Tarek as a character by the end of Dino Fury. He was one of my favorite characters by the end of that series, and the fact he's out here just kicking as much ass as he was in the fucking Dino Fury as Void Knight without that power crutch was just refreshing to me.
Yes. Again, it's just a shame that we couldn't get a full adaptation of this season from what was the name of the season? Cure Ranger, the space season with the 12 Rangers.
No. We couldn't fit 12 the Rangers into this. There wouldn't have been enough time, and I honestly fucking agree because there was barely enough time for what we got.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But a full 40 episode season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it would have been nice to see Tarek as like a proper official Purple Ranger.
Honestly, yeah, it would have. Like, I wish he would have got like a full redemption arc. He got like to come back as like a part of the team. And it would have been more touching in this because it's Amelia's dad technically, so you'd have like all of this shit going on. Like a father-daughter team up. It would be cool.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Tarek, and I've said this before. Like Rancic for the longest time was my favorite villain in Power Rangers. But when I saw Dino Fury and saw Tarek as Fourier, and then just seeing Tarek's whole story arc, like it was like, no, he's my favorite now.
Yeah, like
I will say, like you do have to keep in mind, like, Centaura is pregnant, so he probably wouldn't have wanted to go because he probably wanted to stay home with his wife.
Yeah, that is true.
He can always teleport back and take care of his wife in between missions.
Yeah, but still, just the fact that Tarek got in on the action is like I can still, because this is actually an issue that I feel hurts one of the team up episodes, which we'll be getting in a particular season, where the Rangers are just like, well, we don't have our powers, so we're giving up. And it's like, well, you still have the ways to fight, even without the morphing.
Overdrive?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to that, and it's like Tarek here actually proves it. Like, yeah, I've lost my powers as Void Knight, but I can still fight. I still trained with the sword.
Yep. I live by the sword, and I will die by the sword, motherfuckers. Sorry, not PG. But anyway, episode 7 also had like an interesting plan, right? Because we had the prison. And like Solon being like giant, and then the transporters to kind of help knock the force field down. Like everything seemed like it went too well, and it worked so perfectly, right? Like I did not expect this plan to work at all when we were watching the episode. Like I'm like, this is gonna fail miserably. Solon's gonna run out of energy, or like none of this will like work right, and then we'll end up with more people captured. I was pleasantly surprised that we actually had an episode where like Plan A actually worked.
Yeah, well, it's always nice when we get that when we get those Plan A's working every once in a while.
It's just not like common in Power Rangers.
Oh no, no, absolutely.
But I think that's like it for episode
7.
Episode 8.
Episode 8, we have Slifer and Mucus back. Yay! I have to be the enthusiastic. Like, come on, Vex. You admitted in the Dino Fury video that you liked Mucus.
Like, she grew on me. I'll give her that.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, like, just having Slifer back is just like he is my favorite character in Dino Fury. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's just nice to see him back, just because he just reminds me of just those times when you're a Power Rangers fan and you're on the playground pretending to be Power Rangers, just like kick, punch, slide, block. I just love that about his character. How he's so into being what he is, that he'll go the extra mile and add his own sound effects.
Oh yeah, like him adding his own sound effects is really cool. I love like how he is like the kid playing Power Rangers. You're right, like that's his role as a character is. I'm just the kid on the playground playing Power Rangers doing the dumb thing, and I love that about him, but at the same time, like he is kind of insufferable too.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that, but I guess it's kind of like just to use an allegory for particular. he's kind of to what a lot of people, if they when it gets to the anime, he kind of will be to a lot of people what Karicha will be to a lot of people who watch Mission Yosakoi. Yeah, Karicha has his badass moments, but he can be insufferable.
Like, and there's
Honestly,
nothing wrong with... Go ahead, Tyler.
I was about to say, I just think it's nice to, like, yeah, we've had like goofy duos of villains before, but I'm just happy to have, like, it's kind of like Rito Revolto, where yeah, Slider's a goofy villain, but he is still somewhat competent.
Oh yeah, he is probably the most competent henchman in Dino Fury because of the fact that he is a master of disguise. Like, he can literally take on the appearance of someone and you wouldn't know that it's a fake.
You know,
Yeah, like
their dynamic reminds me of like post like mind wipe of like Rito and Goldar. Like right after the destruction of
The command center.
Like where they had no memory. Like, that's what their dynamic kind of reminds me of.
You know what? I can honestly see that now.
Yeah, and honestly, I think we need more goofy villains that like are competent, because just because you're a goofy goober don't mean you can't still kick ass.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, we learned this from Rito Revolto and Mighty Morphin.
Like, out of every villain in Mighty Morphin, like, Rito handed the Rangers more L's than anybody.
Yeah. And especially the Piranatrons. Like, they're goofy henchmen, but they still did the job effectively.
No, they didn't, according to the song.
No, that's a different song. But I will say, one thing I do like about Slifer compared to a lot of other Mukes is that, and this is a problem with like a lot of like the Neo Saban Mooks and villains, is that they all have the same voice. It's like the standard gravelly villain voice.
What, you're
where it's like
this voice right here, where I sound like I smoke a pack of Newports a day.
Yeah, when it's like where Slifer, he definitely had a clear personality and just embraced everything about it.
You want to get funky with my stoma here?
Yeah, and
I don't know why I have 1,000 fucking Family Guy references today. I haven't even watched Family Guy in like the last 3 years, but I'm just full of them today.
And Mucus as a character is very interesting because normally in fiction you'd have the monster being like, "Hey, what's it like to be human? I want to be human." Blah blah. But Mucus is just like, "Ew, human! Ugh, I want to be a mushroom again."
And then we get her back to mushroom. Like,
yep.
I love that.
And apparently, Mucus in human form is actually the person who's inside the Mucus costume.
He's kind of cute. Like, what's so weird about it? Like, I did not even know that was a fact. Like, I liked human form Mucus. Like, that was a really interesting choice. Like, it makes sense though. Like, why add fucking 75 pounds of makeup to an actress when you can just have them be themselves, right? Just throw them in a goofy dress.
Yeah, and also as well, Slifer in human form. That's actually Slifer's voice actor as well.
That's so cool. Like, I love when Power Rangers does that. You know, there's something that I thought was the most touching part of Ion's character arc here as well. And that's him giving the recipe to the kid that was coming to the shop.
Yeah, which again, what is that recipe? I need to know that recipe.
Because you saw that Ion tries to be the chef for everyone. Like, that's kind of his role. You know, it's like, I fix things by cooking. But he realizes, I don't have time to fix this for this kid. So I'm just going to, like, if this recipe means this much to you, because obviously he's more than likely got it memorized at this point. He's like, here you go. You can make it at home now. the fact that the kid and mom can make it at home leads me to think that like Rafcon has comparable resources to Earth. Otherwise it wouldn't have made any sense for him to give the recipe to them.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Yeah.
we always like we're led to think that this planet was so I guess it's like the brain that the human has. Like any far off world we think of like being vastly different than Earth, but realistically, like there has to be infinite fucking planets. This is like high thoughts with Vex. Infinite planets that are comparable to ours out there in the fucking stratosphere. Right? Like we have to have like a million different planets that we can inhabit. We'd fuck them all up eventually because that's human nature. But like there has to be a comparable planet out there. Otherwise, like what's the point of like planetary exploration and space travel and all this shit? But at the same time, like our brains were like, well, obviously there's going to be, tentacle monsters and, fucking resources that'll kill you out there too. Like that's how our brains are programmed by science fiction. But it makes sense that like, oh, well, it's just, a cake, right? Whatever. It's a fucking smoothie that he's fixing. It's the random fucking whatever of the day that's going to be in there. I forget what the recipe was in this episode because I didn't fucking write it down in my notes.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't think it was. I don't think it was. Was it mentioned?
It's
Recipe for what?
The recipe in episode 8 of Cosmic Fury.
No, I don't think they did. But one thing I will say about one line I did like from this episode was when Iron was like, "No, they're good now. Trust me." And Terry was like, "No, trust me. If anyone knows how evil they are, it's the guy who used to be their evil boss." I don't know why, but that just brings a smile to my face.
Oh, for sure.
And then we have Slive when the enemy invades them, and we have Slive, Mucus, and Terry teaming up again. And Slive is just like, "Yeah, this is just like the good old days." So yeah, yeah. So yeah, and now we get into episode 9. Unless you had anything else to say about episode 8.
The whole no, they don't have the whole whatever. Yeah, recipe was here. So we have the monster versus monster fight here with the squids versus Slither and Mucus. That kind of leads the finale episodes here into where we're going, right? So
Yeah.
we have the fact that Zed does not give a fuck about his henchmen still revealed, right? Which makes sense, right?
Yeah,
It's
Zed
like-
only cares about himself.
Right, and his massive throne, which, props on him getting a new throne. But I find the defeat of the squids to be like one of the more satisfying monster on monster fights here. Like we've had a couple of them, but I feel like this one just, I guess because of like the what was at stake here and how this came about felt so much more clean, fun, but also like tense. It had everything that a fight should have to me. Like you have immense stakes, you have like all of the fun because they're clearly enjoying fighting again. Here like Slither and Mucus, and like we see like such an interesting defeat here because clearly it wasn't the end of everything because you saw the little tentacle squirming off in the distance. So
Yeah.
you kind of we're left like, I bet they're not dead, but at the same time, you know, it felt like they were actually defeated. So that was really cool, and that leads into the finale. Let's just call it what it is. Episode
Yeah,
9 and 10.
the 2-part finale. So we have episode 9, Master Plan, and Ollie is no longer evil. He's back to being a good guy.
Surprise, surprise.
And Lord Zed is trying to become a morphing master.
Yep. And we
But
get
no. It's Lord Ned. It's Lord Ned.
no. It's clearly a C.
I don't know, man. That looks like an N to me.
No, it's clearly a C. But yeah, Master said, like, oh boy, that was something.
I'm sorry, but I'm with the fans on this one. Like, Master Zed versus
Skeletor.
No. Let me pull it up. I used to have it, right?
Yeah, but I'll say this for my notes. So we have a reference to SPD with Billy mentioning New Tech City, which seems to be established on Earth at this point. So we're kind of slowly building to that future depicted in SPD. And I had Brasilia, Squid Inc.'s boss, being Groot because of the whole, like, I can regenerate from one tentacle. And of course, the big one here of what Zed's plan is, doing a reverse C wave.
So, I put, like, what Zed's, like, ultimate form is in Sentai, in the mod VC. Don Armage. I just love the design of this.
Oh my god.
Giant, bad, fucking, like, scythe thing. His weapon's badass. It's cool. It is such a cool design in my. I understand why they didn't do it. Because this is still clearly marketed towards kids.
Yep.
But and that would be nightmare fuel. But also, like, kids having a couple nightmares, that's no big deal.
Yeah, but I love just like how blatantly on the nose the references to Countdown to Destruction are in this episode. Right down to the point where Slifer goes, Countdown to Destruction. It's like, hey, guess what we're trying to do here?
Reverse C wave. It's an E wave, if you will.
No, it's clearly a C wave because my name is Zed.
It's so fucking stupid, but I love it. Like, out of all of the plans, like, I will admit I did not see this coming, right? Like, I'm sorry, this actually took me by surprise.
Yeah, it did for me when I first saw this as well. I was like, oh, this is actually to stick it into Zordon more. Like, oh, I've conquered your planet, and now I'm going to reverse what you did just to because I've got that's such of a boner for trying to defeat you that I have to do everything you did, but in reverse.
And honestly, like, Zed is like the Reverse Flash. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
now I actually do want to see a death battle between Reverse Flash and Lord Zed.
Like, I mean, there's already a death battle between Reverse Flash and Goku Black.
Yeah, that's literally, like, the more that they bring Zed back, the more I'm like, he is literally Reverse Flash here. He tries to undo everything and one up everything that Zordon did. So on the fucking nose, and I love it. But at least he didn't go back in time to prevent the Zordon being born yet.
No, his wife tried to do that. Which I love the fact that Billy is in both seasons with the return of the two big villains from his era.
You know, like, Billy deserved this after all the bullshit he put up with in the production of Power Rangers. Like, he deserved this.
He deserved this, and I regardless of everything that people complain about the Simon Bennett years of Power Rangers, I would admit bringing Dave Yost back for Billy was like a dream come true for me because I didn't think it would ever happen.
I love what David Yost also put out there, like, I'm gay, Billy Cranston isn't. Like, that was such a great thing to put out there. Like, so it kind of canonized him and the Aquitian might have hooked up as well. I'm curious what the kid of a human and an Aquitian would look like.
It would probably look really no different from a regular Aquitian.
Like, I don't know if it's the monster fucker in me or the fact that I'm such a whore for aliens as well.
Unless we get the Accretion kid looking like the Accretion, but having a human voice without like the watery filter.
Yeah, can we never bring the filters back for the voices? Thank you. Like, that is the most annoying thing. But
yeah,
that's just something that popped into my mind randomly. It's like I really do wonder if like that happened, like what that would be like. It's just like now we're going back, at least in the comics, we're going back like a post-team breakup with Amy Jo Johnson's comic. We're going back and kind of like revisiting like the old team in that regard. So I'm curious, like, if that'll happen, because we're having like I guess her and Tommy hooked up in this comic, and that's the kid that we'll have instead of a cat and Tommy kid. This one.
Mm-hmm.
This is a parallel universe to the other comic universe. It's not even the main. People are coping and seething that mostly Bat in the Sun is throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
But anyway, been a lot of shower thoughts in this episode after there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Billy kind of stays back in this one to give Ollie a chance to, do the whole Ranger thing again.
Yeah, you know what? Fair enough. Fair enough for Ollie. He gets it. He gets this moment to be part of the team, even though it was mostly Billy. And I'm still annoyed by that we can't very much cement that Billy is an official member of the Cosmic Fury team. It has to be an Oxy. He has to be a proxy member.
Yeah, but like. The funny thing is, like, Ollie doesn't even get to use his Zord because they get fucking destroyed.
I know. That is like
the biggest fuck you to Ollie. Like, man, I just got my Morpher, and now I don't even get to use a Zord. Being evil sucks.
Yeah. So yeah. Now we have the final episode, which is just titled "The End."
Which is fair enough.
You know what? Yeah, but really, it should have been called "May the Power Protect You." That's really what it should have been called.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. I agree with that one. This is such an interesting way to end the 30 years of current canon, right? Because we're rebooting the franchise. Because nothing can be original anymore. It has to be a reboot because we live in an era where we need to milk nostalgia, and we need to go through and kiddify and do all except for we're not kiddifying this. We're just supposedly making it more mature, but like we have to dumb everything down basically. And
yeah, it is interesting because a lot of people make the same point that as an ending to the 30-year history of the franchise, it does falter, but as an ending to the Dino Fury era, it's a great ending.
Right, that's where I stand too. Like we had a lot of callbacks, right? We had everything from Mighty Morphin to Ninja Steel to Dino Charge to all of these things that. Even references in like Once and Always. We had like a half dozen things that really, made it feel like they were playing homage to 30 years of canon, and clearly we were retreading a lot of plot points, like the countdown to destruction with the E wave here. That's a counter to the Z wave. We have like all of this stuff that really matters to that, but at the same time, like it doesn't feel like a cap off to 30 years of the hit franchise.
Yeah, but to play devil's advocate here, could it really? Could it really like?
Not within 10 episodes. Fuck no. That's
Yeah.
that's the big thing, right? Like that's why
I don't think it could have done it either way, because it's like you would have to, if you wanted to cap off like 30 years of history, you'd have to bring in like more cameos from past Rangers. You'd have to establish like where some Rangers ended up. You'd have to have a return to Aquitar.
But I mean, they could have done that. Like that's what I find so fascinating about this. Like the comics are doing that, rather well. Because they can, and it's obvious it's easier to do in comic form. Like I'm not trying to shit on the production of a television show versus how easy it is to write a comic. Neither is really easy either. Let me make that very, very clear before the comments try to eviscerate me. Neither is easy, but it's easier to do it when you can fucking draw it than contacting the person, working around their schedule, trying to shoot, trying to edit, trying to put everything through post-production, trying to do ADR if they need to redouble line, all around the production schedule of like somebody that's shooting a multi-million-dollar movie, or is on some fucking dating show right now, or whatever these actors are up to,
or just doesn't want to come back in general.
Right, so they would have to pick and choose like who is willing to come back to this franchise, who is available out of the literal 100 of Rangers that we have.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, and also as well, like whether or not they'd be able to come back based on the fact, because apparently Cosmic Fury and Dino Fury, like it's a non-union production, but of course they have union actors because Zayto and Ion's actors, they're union. So
is
it would
Amelia's.
So it would be a case of like also as well, like they'd have to, if they wanted to come back and they were in the union, like
how do we make that work? How do we pay them a fair wage?
Yeah.
There's a lot of
I was just gonna say, like, if they wanted to do like a homage to RPM and bring back, say, the Red Ranger from that series, his actor is part of the Screen Actors Guild now, so he would have to be on a union contract.
Rose Ivor is a SAG member. She worked on iZombie. There's a lot of like the Rangers have joined SAG at this point, so like there's a fine line that they'd have to teeter and how much they were willing to pay.
Yeah,
but I do feel like if they would have spent an episode on each season, right? Like one episode with a Mighty Morphin member, that being Billy, one with a Zeo Ranger, maybe bring Cat in, kind of helping individual preparation for the plot, or at least like, oh, now we have, even if they wanted to bundle them together, like, okay, let's bring some shit in from the Zordon era, bring somebody in from Mighty Morphin to Turbo, or in space, technically, have Andros come in, just not with the hair, because he refuses to ever do that again to his hair.
I don't blame him.
As somebody that changes their hair on a whim, I do not blame him. Let's do post Zordon, Lost Galaxy on down to, fucking Wild Force. You could bring in a Ranger from each team and, have them help prepare to fight Zed one last time to save the world. And that would have felt a lot more succinct than what we got. And you could have done that with 5 extra episodes, realistically. Like,
yeah, you could have done that with those amount of episodes. I mean, the Black Ranger from Wild Force, he's still acting, so they could have asked him if he wanted to come back.
it's just really like that would have given it more weight as like oh, we're done with this era of Power Rangers, right? Instead of just a select few from a select few seasons that already are like, yeah, we're Rangers for life kind of thing.
Well, the question now is because the big reveal in this episode is that Zordon is technically still alive.
Yeah, that's a big mindfuck as well, right? Because
Yeah,
now he kind of lives inside the grid, which in the sense of the comics makes more sense than in the sense of the
yeah,
show.
and well, in the sense of the show, it does actually make a lot of sense when you think about it because Zordon does say to Andros, "I'll be gone, but my spirit will live on in all that is good." And what is the morphing grid?
Well, I mean, to be fair, the morphing grid can be corrupted too. Like that's something that we see Drakon do in the comics. Like we are corrupting the grid, and now in this new event, it's also being like heavily corrupted. The Darkest Hour, because of Master Vile. But we realize like energy can be manipulated in anything, and the grid is pure energy. Um, so at sciencing it out, like if you can manipulate something, just because it's good now doesn't mean it will always be good. Um,
Okay, fair enough.
but like
But
you're right, like that is the perfect place for him to be.
yeah,
Like
because every time we've seen like a major death in Power Rangers, they've always come back, and it's always been in connection to the grid.
right, and that makes all the sense of the world too, because we have the grid being the source of their energy and how they morph and how they interact with the universe. It's part of them. So if are part of something, that connection lives forever. Um, you know, just to be like a sappy, just because you drift apart, let's say the team drifts apart, they're always connected through their connection to the grid, right?
Yeah,
Because we see even those that have given up their morphers and their powers come back and team up again. So it's or in the comics, like all of them interacting all at the same time because they're trying to stop whatever the event that's going on from happening, right? So there's a million different ways to think about this. So now the question is like, um, we have Ion go into the grid as well here because Zayto's dead, technically again. He ends up getting resurrected as a Morphin Master, which makes sense. But Ion going into the grid itself, I don't think we see that very often. I know we saw it at the end of Shatter Grid, where everybody's memories of that event getting kind of purged from them, but now maybe they weren't fully purged. Um, we see not lock phone. We see Javi wanting to risk it all at the end here. The willingness to like sacrifice himself to, you know, prevent Zed from taking over and corrupting everything and eliminating good from the universe. Um, and then we see Zed's nightmare, like him
yeah,
having to fight for survival here, like because he's trapped inside this device.
yeah,
Um,
and it's like your your wave will happen, but you will be destroyed in the process.
good,
No,
trying
it's
to,
not good, said, because you want to rule, but you can't if you're destroyed.
but my legacy will carry on. But no, like honestly, the funny thing to me out of all of this is look at this man's fucking worst nightmare. Look at this man's worst nightmare. It is literally his wife. How shitty is your marriage that you're dreading being at home with your fucking wife?
I
I
think
mean,
it's
Zed
more.
does seem like the,
Go ahead.
to be fair, Zed does seem like the type of guy who would make jokes about my wives. Am I right? I don't know.
he does seem like that dude, bro. Like, fuck, I gotta go fishing. You know, like, I gotta get away from the old ball and chain. My brother in Christ, you're the one that took the vows.
Yes, well, technically, it was under a love. It was under a love potion. But then,
does divorce not exist in the Power Rangers universe? I'm pretty
No.
sure that's duress. You were married under duress. They would void that marriage, okay?
Yeah. But yeah, my question is, and I think it is for quite often, does the fact that Sordon's conscience is still alive, does that technically take away from his sacrifice?
I mean, yes and no.
It's similar to what's recently happened in Dot 2 in the 60th anniversary, where a character who had to have their memories wiped seemingly got back said memories after like about 15 years. I'm like, that's really my only nitpick about that episode, is that it does come across as a Deus Ex Machina and does diminish the sacrifice that went into that. So I can kind of see where people are coming from here, where it's kind of like bringing Sordon back, even though it does make sense, kind of diminishes his sacrifice.
See, I'm torn here, right? Because I liked the thought of, wow, Jesus Christ, Discord, what are you doing? I like the thought of it being a finale, right? Like Zordon's sacrifice being this actual like weighted thing, right? Where like, because he gave himself up, he's gone. He's diminished. He's like dissipated. His energy is what purified the universe, right? And the fact that now he's in the grid and he technically is alive and in there, but he kind of like also doesn't remember like a lot of things, it seems like. You know, it seems like he's like a husk of himself from the sacrifice, so still has some weight. It's just a weird thing to me. Like,
it's kind of like what and as well, to make a reference here, it's kind of like what's happening in Witch Watch at the moment.
it is. It is definitely like it's curious. There's nothing inherently wrong with it, but it does kind of like take away part of the importance of the moment.
Yeah. But also as well, we did talk about this after finishing after finishing Cosmic Fury, is that this, even though they said it's the end of 30 years of continuity, it does feel like it does feel like the reboot is setting up to be like a new beginning, with potentially the reboot series Billy being the one to bring back Sordon in a separate universe.
And see, I would fucking hate that. Like, I'm sorry, but like, the whole point of the post Zordon era was to move past the need for Zordon to be a plot device, to not be a part of the continuity, right? Because his sacrifice was what made the universe continue. The fact that if we could just like blip him back into existence because of some timey-wimey bullshit would just kind of diminish any weight to that sacrifice whatsoever. And
yeah, but here's the thing: if it's a different universe,
I don't give a fuck if it's a different universe. Like, I'm sorry, like the differing universes bullshit doesn't excite me like it used to. Like, I get that like the whole comics are a different universe and that's always fun, but like at the same time, like if we're rebooting the TV show, or I guess the Netflix show, because what is TV anymore? Like if we're rebooting the series in a different universe, cool, do that. But don't make it a one-for-one retread, and don't use like the plot from the canon that you're trying to separate yourself from. Like, there at that point there's no point in a reboot if you're dragging stuff from the past universe. That would just turn it into fucking Marvel. You feel me? Like I'm not crazy for thinking
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from.
Like this, that's
Yeah.
why like the comics, like the Marvel and the DC and all that shit gets shit on so much, is because like no matter how much they try to separate themselves from what the past was, they always end up retreading the exact same past. Like we literally have had 5 Spider-Verse events at this point. We've had 2 Secret Wars. We've had like I think 4 different flashpoints in DC. I could be wrong. I'm not as big of a DC nerd. We've had Crisis on Infinite Earths like 8 different times. Like no matter what, we always cycle back to the same bullshit. I don't want that for Power Rangers. I want them to do at least something different and daring, especially if they're trying to make it darker and more impactful for a new audience, which is supposed to be young adults instead of like literal babies. That, like, I don't know. I'll still watch it. I'll probably still enjoy it, but I feel like it would be bullshit.
Well, like you said, we don't know what the reboot's going to be about, so we could potentially be way off.
The reboot starts with a 45-minute gay sex scene. That's my bold prediction.
Or it starts off with the Rangers on the toilet taking a shit.
South Park did it.
But yeah, my other notes for the finale are just like Zayto turning into a morphing master, and I love the fact that I triggered one smart with Solon's line of "my brave boy" and say like it held more weight and emotion than I think it was the entirety of My Hero on Black Clover.
Oh no, anyway. It's not hard to trigger one smart, unfortunately. Like,
Yeah.
because
Because
I literally like anytime I shit on Black Clover, that man is always pissed. And I'm sorry,
Yeah.
like Black Clover went from like in my top 6 when we did that like 10-hour like live stream of us ranking our top 10 series to like not even in my top 25. The final arc
wow.
has been that bad. But that's
But
also
yeah,
my
I mean, I
personal
personally
opinion.
disagree. I don't think it's been bad. It's just
not being as engaging if you or
yeah, it's just it's been better in the past.
Right, and
Like
it's the fact that it's the
like
final
Magna
arc.
versus Dante.
It's the fact that it's the final arc. We have a million unanswered questions, and we seemingly have like 8 chapters worth of content left. So we're leaving like half of a universe unexplored. That's
yeah.
what pisses me off.
But yeah, going back quickly to the line, like the reason why I just say that is just because of the fact, like it do just that one simple line, like just the fact that it's Solon saying that to her, essentially her adopted son, and he's going into the afterlife essentially,
Yeah.
and if one smart like just actually watched the season and understood the weight of Solon's line, who she's saying it about, and the relationship they have for each other.
I still think he fucking not appreciate it as much as we do. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Like he's entitled to that opinion. Like there's nothing wrong with fanboying for one series over another. That's
Oh yeah. I just
I'm
think
guilty of that.
same.
yeah, we're all guilty of it. Let's be honest.
You're right. Like this one line to me had that same amount of emotion, and it makes all the more sense here because this is the finale of this canon, right? We're moving on from Solon. We're moving on from like this era of Power Rangers in the next couple years.
Yeah.
And it gives some finality to the sacrifice that he made here, because we're watching the ascension of the new Morphin Master as well, right? Because that is something that we've never really seen, a new Morphin Master be born. and
it's
it's something that's so unique to this timeline.
Yeah, and I've just got to say, how fitting is it that we started this era with like the first official, like canonically Red Ranger, who has now become a Morphin Master.
Yeah, like timeline and canon wise, like the first Red Ranger, because he is like from 65 million years in the past, technically.
Yep.
So like he predates Jason, which, oh my god, say that online and it just.
Yeah. Hey, internet, do you know that the Red Ranger in Dino Fury predates Jason?
Watch Twitter mauled.
Hey, Twitter, do you know that the Sixth Ranger in Wild Force predates Jason?
No, how dare you? How dare you?
I'm sorry.
I love the ending scene of this series.
Oh
so
yeah,
much.
absolutely. Like Harvey gets the chance to have a proper audience, and not even have people like questioning like why he's got the arm.
Right, like it's so accepting. It's so fucking fitting. He gets his audience. He gets his rock show. Everybody joining him on stage. Zayto from wherever the fuck the Morphin Masters actually reside, coming in and ending the series and ending the franchise with
one last Cool Cool Coolio.
And the internet lost its mind.
Even though literally the line before that was "May the power protect you."
Yeah, but it would have had more weight if that was the final line, Luke. We gotta have the Zordon nod and not the Zayto nod. The new Morphin Master. How dare they? How dare they actually end it on a joke? A series that literally had a goddamn budget for diapers and sheet cake.
A series that literally has an upside down ramping pumpkin.
A series where there was a villain who baked the heroes into a pizza.
Yes, we got the
Vitari.
I was about to no. Thanks. Let me have my rant here. A series where we have a demon who drives around in a car for some reason.
A series where that said demon was the thing that nearly tanked the franchise for a third time because of their acting. Like, this is a series full of dumb shit, and you're pissed about a single finale line. I'm sorry you didn't get a nod to your fucking nostalgia boner. The whole point of this was it was also the end of this team. Not just the canonical ending of this era of Power Rangers. It was the end for this team. I'm sorry, Twitter. I'm sorry, YouTube. I'm sorry, reaction tubers. You got your engagement farming. Enjoy your $36 because this is blocked by COPPA. Because you're talking about a fucking kids show.
Yeah, people think we take this way too seriously. Like, no, Twitter takes it way too much more seriously. But yeah, the one last note I had for the finale was more of a personal one for me. Was when we found out the name of Amelia's sister, and her name was Poppy, obviously named after Pop. But with that, I was just like, because I literally have the photo of my cat Poppy, who passed away last year, right above my computer right now. I'm looking at it right now. I'm just like, you had to rub it in, did you, Power Rangers?
It's a cute name for a kid too. Like
it's a cute name, but that just hit me on a personal level.
Hey, at least they didn't name it some dumb white hipster girl name. Okay, like
yeah, like her name is I don't know Iris, which would be another flower's name now that I think about it.
I'm trying to not
Kaylee spelled with like EIGHQ ampersand and the bat signal.
Yeah, but
at least they didn't go like Elon and name it some fucking archangel, but it's like a bunch of symbols and Greek letters.
Yeah, But overall, I do like that they named their daughter after Pop Pop. That was a nice touch.
Well, I mean, it's out of respect because like Pop Pop kept Amelia safe for all these years as well. Like he kept his word. Like that was the line of like essentially Warriors code there. Like you protected my child, now I honor your life. And that's something I love. I love Tarek so much because like throughout everything, he was an honorable warrior in his
Yeah.
own regards.
Honestly, if you really think about it, with Dino Fury, the Rangers made everything 10 times more worse because all he wanted to do was just like, I want to get these 8. If he had just explained to the Rangers right off the bat, like, hey, I need these for a reason. Can you let me use them?
I don't think they would have trusted him because of how their first interaction went, though. Like that's the thing. Like first impressions really do matter. We tend to forget that in life, and now we're just talking about it in general. But like we tend to forget that first impressions are very important in life, and like because it was such a negative first impression, I don't think they would have ever trusted him. Now, if it would have went differently and it would have been more positive, maybe they would have.
Yeah. I mean, he could have been like, oh, this energy here. And he takes off his helmet and it's just like, excuse me, I need a favor.
Yeah, maybe it would have worked. I don't know. Like that's something that I feel like it might have if it would have just been like, hey, let's work together here. I want to resurrect my wife.
Yeah, and when I resurrect my wife, we'll be out of here.
Yep. But it's such an interesting concept when you think about it. Like, but like it also would have, I think, left a little bit of the weight of Dino Fury like unfulfilled.
Because, fair enough. Not saying anything bad about Tarek. Like he's a great character. It's a great character. It's just like that. Like you said, that first interaction just made all the more issues at the end of the day.
Oh, for sure. It's just unfortunate, right? Because like the Rangers do tend to be essentially like Superman. They tend to do a lot of harm too, right? Like we don't think about it because they're the heroes, right? But like objectively, when you think about how much chaos and carnage the Power Rangers bring about, like they do just as much destruction as the villains when you break it down.
Yeah.
I think like out of all of the teams though, I think that ironically, like so far Time Force did more damage than anyone in what we've watched.
No small part into a particular person. Alex, what was that?
Let's be real here. Like, Mr. Q Rex himself did a lot of the damage too.
Oh yeah.
Like, if his ego was any bigger, I would say it would rival Jeff Bezos.
You know what? That begs the question: who do you think has the bigger ego now, Lord Zed or Eric?
It's still Zed. It's still fucking Zed. But it's very close. It is incredibly close. Please tell me there's not anyone else in this franchise that I haven't seen that has a worse ego than Eric. Or if so, do they have a more punchable face?
Oh yes, they do. You'll know when we get you'll know.
I'm not talking about the Red Ranger and Megaforce either.
No, it has nothing to do with the Red. It has nothing to do with Megaforce. It's a different Ranger. It's a Blue Ranger. It's a Blue Ranger.
Lovely, love that. So we got some roll calls and we got some morphs. I'm guessing, Tyler, before you wrap this up.
Yep. So firstly, I'll just briefly blaze through Dino Fury. Then we'll get to Cosmic Fury right after. Let me just find the sheets. Here we go. So for Dino Fury, in last we had Izzy with 2.
Wow.
Then we had Amelia, Ollie, and Ion with 3, Javi with 4, and Zayto with 30 goddamn 3.
Blaming Noah.
Jesus Christ. I'm not shocked, but I am shocked that Izzy was so low.
Oh yeah, I was as well. I was like,
Yeah.
really? That much?
Yeah, this puts Dino Fury at 48, being tied for the lowest within space. Then we have Cosmic. Wait, actually, never mind. Cosmic Fury is the lowest.
Yeah, because there's only because I kept an eye on the morphing calls as well.
Yeah. I got 9 in total. Actually, I'll go from the top down this time round. We got Amelia at the top with 6, which brings her total, ironically, to 9. Izzy, which brings her total to 3. Ion, which brings his total to 4. Billy, which brings his total to 15. And everybody else, 0. That's Ollie, Javi, Zayto, Fern, Mick, and Heckle. All was 0. Useg.
Really? Heckle was 0?
Yeah,
Yes. He never
'Cause-
said the words, it's morphing time.
yeah, but he did say unleash the power, which is technically part of the morphing call.
I don't count it.
Okay.
So that's going to be interesting, right? Because we will have like different morphin calls for like the rest of the series, are right? I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Like with Wild Force, the morphing call is wild access.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's going to change in that regard for these moving forward, obviously.
Yeah, I feel like in terms of like variety morphing calls, Ninja Storm will be the one that has the most variety of morphing calls.
Oh dear God, please shoot me.
No, not but it's not a lot. There's only like 3 variations of the morphing call.
Okay, that's not horrible. It's just going to be
Yeah.
but you know, like we got one season left in the post Zordon as of recording this, and that's Wild Force. And then that'll be up. I'm hoping to have that up by the end of the year. It's gonna be a close call, obviously, because it's the 28th of November recording this. And then I don't know how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna try to do it. I'm gonna try to fuck YouTube system over. I'm hoping they're not listening to this far into the recording. And try and upload the Disney era as one whole video.
Oh God, that is gonna be a nightmare.
You know, it's technically it's 12 hours, or there's some sort of gigabyte cap on the edit that you can do. So I'm gonna try to see if I can do it through the gigabyte cap instead of the hour cap, because there's no way it's gonna be under 12 hours. This is also a reminder, if you made it this far into the video, that we have merch now. We also release all of these as individual seasons on podcast platforms like Spotify. So if you just want to listen to the audio and our sultry voices, you can do that. I don't promote that enough, that we do fucking audio formats of this shit. I feel like I fail as a creator there. Because I realize not everybody wants to sit back and watch a fucking visualizer. They can just turn it on in the background while they're doing their chores. All of our podcasts have that. But each season for the Disney era will be an individual audio file, right? So you'll get it that way if you don't want to listen to the whole giant fucking thing. The same with all of the individual seasons of the post Zordon era. Those are individual audio files. Those are all ready to record or to upload. I've got all the visualizers made for that to put up on through Anchor. Other than Wild Force. So we got 40 episodes to film before or to watch before the end of the year, guys. Think we can do it?
I think we can.
I think we can.
And with that, peace.
Peace.
Peace.